What's going on Facebook Live? It's been a while. Hopefully you are having an amazing evening, morning, day, afternoon. I don't know where it is you are tuning in from, but my wife and I are here in beautiful Las Vegas, and we're having a great time. Let's see. As y'all are tuning in, I'd like to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice to see you. As you're tuning in, see that number popping up there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Drop it right down there in the chat section or over there, wherever it is for you. Number two, I'd love to know three things you're grateful for. So the reason I always ask that question is because, according to research at Harvard and many other great universities, if we can train our brain to scan the world around us and look for what we are grateful for, something that good that happened, it trains our nervous system to always scan the world and look for what's right with it instead of what's wrong with it. Scientists say that, along with meditation, working out, random acts of kindness, getting plenty of sleep, and a bunch of other things actually cause our happiness and fulfillment to consistently go up, which makes us more happy and also more mentally and emotionally resilient as a human being. Meaning we can go through harder times and more challenging moments without it stressing us or breaking us down in any way. So as you're tuning in, I'm not asking you to do that purely to ask it of you. I'm asking it of you because I want you to help build that muscle and make you more emotionally, mentally, and physically resilient in all of who you are based on the research. So as you're tuning in, love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you're grateful for. Put it right down there in the chat section. Ryan says, sharing. Thank you, sir. Carlos, tuning in from Guatemala. Welcome, sir. Hopefully you're having an amazing day. Now, I do see that number ticking up there, so as you're tuning in, love to know where you're tuning in from, and again, three things you are grateful for. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing and participating with us. So the crazy part is, I see a big number up there, and I don't see a whole lot of responses down here. Let's see. Ryan, thank you for clicking share. The other factor that's going on in the world around us right now is here in the United States, we have a brand new president, and with that, he is taking all kinds of actions, and people are having all kinds of interesting reactions to what's going on. Anthony, Vancouver, what's up, buddy? Welcome. And what's fascinating is two concepts to think about with this overall. I see the numbers still ticking up. So number one, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you're grateful for right down there in the comment section or over there, depending on if you're watching on your computer or your phone. So what happens is, no matter what happens around us in the world, what's really, really fascinating, Carlos, Arkansas, welcome, grateful for family, coffee, and love. Oh, I'm grateful for love too. Let's see, Rebecca, hi from Perth, Western Australia. G'day, mate. Grateful for health, grateful for the future I'm making the way I want. Thank you for your message, love them, thank you. Natalie, Cardiff by the Sea, what's up, Natalie? Nice to see you. Gina, Saskatoon, Canada, children, health, and love. Hi, Yuan, Savage, I'm grateful for my job, that's awesome. Ryan Owens, grateful for this amazing baby boy, my business, my ability to help people buy homes, my freedom, very cool, welcome, welcome, welcome. I still see that number taken up, so as you're tuning in, love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you're grateful for right down there in the comments section or over there or maybe over there, depending on where you're tuning in from. Let's see. Corey from the UK, grateful for friends, family, and good times. Awesome. Well, welcome, Corey. Nice to see you. Let's see. So what we're going to be talking about is what do you do and how do you choose to react regardless of what's going on outside of you. And there's really two experiences or two thought processes you can have. Yasmin, Sydney, Australia, grateful for my husband, my children, my health, my amazing life I live every day. Very cool. So here's what's interesting. There's really two choices. You can either have the first choice, which says, because they did that, that's why I feel this. Which means you're allowing your emotional experience of life to be dictated and determined by someone outside of you and their actions. And you're saying their actions are determining how you feel, which means in the simplest form, Craig, what is up, Dr. Spodak? If you guys are looking for an amazing dentist, please visit Dr. Spodak in Delray Beach. He's grateful for his family, friends, and health. Christy Patterson from Louisville, nice to see you. Grateful for my Lord, Savior, God's grace, God's blessings, very cool. Rhea from Tampa, what's up? Grateful for my dog, good friends, raising my standards, having a bed to sleep in at night, very cool. I do see the numbers still ticking up. If you're just tuning in, love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know 3 things you're grateful for, right down there or over there in the comment section. Let's see. And thank you for all those who are participating. Natalie, grateful for my children, my health, and my life, very cool. So here's the conversation to have, and I'd love to know, what do you choose most often? Meaning, what's your center of gravity? Center of gravity meaning, it doesn't mean you only do one or only do the other. It means most often, if you're really, really honest with yourself, it's what you land up doing most often. And I'm just asking you to be honest. So option number 1 is, because something in the world happens that then causes you to feel a certain way. Because someone says something that makes you happy, upset, frustrated, angry, sad, scared, fearful, excited, whatever emotion, because they do something that causes you to feel a certain way. That'd be option number 1. Option number 2 is, regardless of what happens around you, doesn't matter what they say, doesn't matter what they do, doesn't matter if it's good or bad or right or wrong, doesn't matter if you agree with it or not, you choose regardless of what happens. You personally make a choice to say, listen, it might jar me emotionally for a second, it might shock me for a half second, but I make a decision. I choose that regardless of what goes on around me, I'm going to purposefully choose exactly how I want to feel in this very moment. So option number 1 is, something happens and that's causing you to feel a certain way. Whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, doesn't matter. Whether it's, that happened, that's why I'm excited, or that's happened, that's why I'm pissed, or that happens, why I'm devastated, because because they did that, that's why I'm excited. It doesn't matter if it's a good or bad emotion, a better or worse emotion. What happens is, if it's option number 1, we're saying that you're living in reaction to something going on around you. If it's option number 2, we're saying regardless of what's going around you. Like, you could get the worst news in the world and say, oh my gosh, I really didn't want to hear that right now. But you know what? I'm going to choose to be focused, strong, resilient, calm, and centered, and purpose-filled through this moment right now, regardless of the situation around me. So I'd love to know right now, where do you live most often? Do you live in option number 1, you're always reacting to people, the world, and situations around you? Or do you live more in option number 2, meaning regardless of what happens, you mentally, emotionally, physically, purposefully choose how to show up at every single moment of the journey? And just be honest, just be real. There's not a good or right or wrong way to go. But I'd love to know where the majority of you guys are at. And I've talked about this before, so I'm guessing people who view this video probably have a little bit of an advantage in this topic because you've heard me, riff on this before. Now, P.S., if you know someone who needs to hear this right now because they're constantly living in reaction, they're constantly being pushed and pulled around by everyone else around them, and because the news says this, that's why they're freaking out, and because the news says that, that's why they feel better now, because they're constantly living reaction, you might want to click the freaking share button on this video so they can hear this message that I'm about to share, to give you the ability to choose how you feel regardless of what's going around you. I want to help you get your power back, and really truly take control of the gifts God given you, and really truly take ownership of who you are as a person, so that no matter what's happening in the world around us, you get to determine how you show up and how you feel and what goes on in your world. But it really, truly is going to come down to a couple decisions that I'm going to share with you in a moment. But if you know someone who needs this, or you think people in your little Facebook community or big Facebook community should hear this, please click that share button and get this out there. Let me see. Hello from New York City. I choose to stay in a beautiful state. Awesome. Number 2, own my feelings, but it does take work. Absolutely does. Use option number 1. Option number 1 at the moment. Been trying to switch to 2. Today was option number 1. Let's see. From the inside out, option number 1. Number 2, it ain't always easy. I think I would have to say option number 2. However, it's not always to choose the best way to feel for myself. Interesting. Carlos, thank you for sharing it. Christine, thank you for sharing it. Option 1, but understand number 2 so well. It's hard to overcome being reactive. It's a pattern, it's habitual. It absolutely is. So here's what's wild. So with option number 1, it basically says you choose to live in reaction to everything that's going on in the world around you. Now, that's the mass majority of people, because the mass majority of people believe the outside world determines the inside world. That's what they believe up here. So the number 1 decision you have to make is, you have to make a decision that says, listen, no matter what goes on around me, the outside world does not determine my inside experience of life. And that's a really big decision to make. And the moment you decide that, you're taking ownership. We talked about this a few weeks ago. You're taking 100% ownership of who you are mentally, emotionally, physically, and saying nothing determines how I show up except for me. Now, the moment you take ownership of that, it gives you a freedom like nothing else. Because someone can come to you and say the worst thing in the world. They could run up to you and be like, purple face, purple face. I don't know what purple face is to you, but whatever purple face is, the thing you never want to hear, the thing that'll upset you, the thing that pissed you off, the thing that made you upset, the thing that sparks your ego and makes you feel horrible or makes you feel self-conscious or whatever that purple face that word is to you, they come say that to your face every day and you're like, hey, it might hook me in the moment, but the truth is, I know who I am, I know what I'm about. And whatever goes around me outside doesn't determine how I feel. I choose to feel good about my life. I choose to feel solid in who I am as a human being. I choose to feel proud about what I bring to the world. And in that moment, you almost have a force field against all the crap that goes on around you. It's really remarkable. But it's a practice. As you see people are saying in the comments, they live in that option number 2, but it's by choice as a practice that they're choosing to get there. Now, it's a practice because there's certain things you have to do every day in order to really experience that. It's not by accident. It's not something that randomly happens. You don't wake up one day and go, wow, I'm free. It's really, truly a practice. You must practice every single day to have that freedom in your life if you really want it. Now, what types of things do you have to practice in order to experience it? The practice itself is mental practice, emotional practice, physical practice, and it's something I was talking about at a couple events I was doing some training at this weekend. One was for a company called Prove It, which I'm very excited about. My friends started it, and it's awesome to see them grow and the difference they're making. Another one was for an event called Trade Up here in Las Vegas for a gentleman named Adam, and I was grateful to be able to present and share at both of those. And one thing that was really beautiful that happened at both of those events was I had the opportunity to share a handful of daily rituals a person could have, that by doing these daily rituals, you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, if you want to go that far, fuel your mind and body up so much that you become the strongest, most resilient version of yourself, so that as life puts its natural pressures on you, you can walk through it with ease without ever being affected negatively by all the junk that's going on around you, or no matter what pressure or what zingers or curveballs or crazy moments life throws your way. Literally, by having a certain set of daily practices, you become emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually resilient, and you have another emotional fortitude to be able to comb through the craziness and get to the other side. So what are some of the examples? Well, in the comment section, I would love to know, what are some of the examples you use? What are some of the things you do every day to help be mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually resilient? Let's see. Do you hold seminars, Bobby says? Not public seminars. We usually get hired by other companies to come in. A Course in Miracles helps. Absolutely, Corey. What if you were an empath? Patty, does that mean you have a lot of empathy? Or you feel for other people deeply? Hit the gym in the morning. So hitting the gym in the morning. Course in Miracles, meditation. What else? What else do you guys do to build mental and emotional fortitude to take on the world each day? And I'll give you a few examples. So as I'm waiting for examples to come through, and thank you for those of you who are sharing right now. So we got the gym, meditation, Course in Miracles, journaling, awesome. Yoga is one of my key strategies. That's wonderful, great examples. So all these are beautiful examples of what to do to become mentally, emotionally resilient. Let's see, exercise, very cool. Inner dialogue, very cool, Rob. Carlos says, I start my day with gratitude. As soon as I open my eyes, then I do a wealth incantation, drink a liter of water, prayer, daily magic, feel other emotions. Got it. So Patty says, what if you're an empath person or highly empathetic, meaning you naturally feel what everyone else is feeling? So one of the most important things you're going to want to do if you're kind of a receiver of energy is you're going to want to make sure you surround yourself with people who choose option number 2 from what we were talking about earlier. Meaning you surround yourself with a peer group who make a decision that says no matter what goes on around me, I choose how I feel, and because I choose how I feel, I always show up as my best self. Because I think it's Kathy that said that, or Patty. What's going to happen is by being around people who are choosing to be their best selves, and if you're a receiver of energy, you're going to be receiving really great energy all the time. And that doesn't mean everyone has to be perfectly happy all the time. That's not what it's about. It means no matter what happens, they choose to be the best version of themselves. And by choosing to be the best version of themselves, let's say there's 10 people in the group, you might have 8 people who are vibrating at the best version of who they can be. You might have 2 people who are having a really crappy day. And what's happening, though, is because 80% of the peer group around you are at their best, you're going to end up getting lots of great energy and a couple people who are struggling. Versus if you choose to surround yourself with people who are constantly in reaction. It's never their fault. It's always everyone else's. It's because the news said this. It's because my dad said this. It's because my mom said this. It's because my brother treated me this way. And my sister treated me this way. And my teacher said this. And because I didn't get the job. And because my employer's or whatever. And you go through this. And that's why I'm so upset all the time. If that's the majority of your peer group, you're really, really in a shit position, because what happens, especially if you're a receiver of energy, you're going to be constantly bombarded by all this shit emotion, and it's going to really tear you down. So going back to Patty's comment there, make sure to keep your intimate peer group, the people you spend the majority of time around, people that choose to show up mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually as the best version of themselves, who take control of it and ownership of it and say, no matter what happens around me, I do not let anyone except for myself determine how I choose to feel every day. Doesn't mean you don't get hooked. Everyone gets hooked from time to time emotionally. But regardless of where they go, they always pull themselves back and make a decision that they're going to live in the strongest version of who they are. Let's see. Gratitude journal, exercise, ask for God's guidance. Keep a selective inner circle, self-confidence formula, incantations, visualizing 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes of mindfulness. I think once you choose to feel like option 2, you attract other option 2. Absolutely. Not making up stories. I absolutely want to reach millions like you. I want to do YouTube. How can I start? My passion is real. Wesley, look up Gary Vaynerchuk. He's big on that. Call in ice baths. Awesome. I ask myself, what's good in life now? Bobby, great one. Ice showers and breathe, that's a good one. Read and teach, very cool. I'm currently struggling keeping my vibration high frequency because I live in crazy city. In all aspects, it's really possible to live in number 2 in the middle of chaos. Absolutely. How do you feel, Jay? Thank you. That's exactly what I needed to hear. You're welcome, Patty. You just need to make sure that peer group and who you're around. Now, what's interesting is there's different parts of the world that vibrate in different ways. We were just down in Costa Rica for 10 days. And in Costa Rica as a whole, not all parts, but if you go to the beaches, if you go around the coast, for the most part, it's a very, very calm, relaxed, and easygoing place where it's very just calm and centered and flowing for the most part. Not all of it, but for the most part. So you also got to think of where you're living in the world. If you live in New York City and you're looking for like tranquil mindfulness, is it there? Sure it is. You just have to look a little harder because everyone's like, go, 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 go. That it's kind of hard to find this like, peaceful place all the time. So you want to think of where are you choosing to live. My wife and I work really hard all the time. We go, 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 go. So we try to live in places that are kind of like resort towns so that the moment we get done working, we walk outside our front door and it immediately goes, and everyone's calm and relaxed and very chill. Now, what's interesting is we have to keep ourselves inspired to continue to strive so that we don't get caught up in just chilling all the time. So it's the balance of where you live can help really truly keep a vibration in a certain way, especially if you're a receiver of energy. Now, for the most part, if you're going to make a choice, number one is you choose to take control. No matter what's going on around you, you choose how you show up. Now, the second piece of this is a lot of people, they say, yeah, but it's not that easy. Yeah, but really, I mean, I just choose to be happy. I just choose to feel good right now. I mean, come on, man, be honest. Look at what's going on in the world. How can I choose to be happy with there's so much going wrong? And here's what's wild. What's wild, and my dad pointed this out years ago, us as human beings choose to get upset over the most random things. Because people get frustrated that, oh my gosh, did you see that someone injured someone or someone killed someone? How horrific. And the truth is that is horrible. I'm not saying it's okay to do that. I'm saying it's a horrible thing that happened. But the only challenge is 100,000 plus people died of heart disease today. And no one's picketing, no one's rioting, no one's freaking out. And for some reason, why is that one okay, but this one person wasn't? And it's really interesting how we start to create meaning to things. And we say one thing's okay, but the other one's not. I care about this, but not that. And what's really interesting is we use what's going on in the world to get back to what we call our emotional home. Now, emotional home means nothing more than where you feel most comfortable. Meaning, regardless of what's going on in the world around you, I guarantee there's probably 3 to 5 emotions. If you want a pen and paper, you're going to want to write this down. I guarantee there's about 3 to 5 emotions that are your emotional home. What that means is you win the lotto, you lose the lotto. You make $1 million, you lose $1 million. You start a company, your company falls down. You get into a relationship, you fall out of a relationship. Whatever happens around you, what we've learned is by watching people, there's about 3 to 5 emotions that you specifically will fall back into regardless of what the stimulus is, because that's what you feel most comfortable being in. Now, some people, their emotional home is anger, jealousy, frustration, betrayal, and whatever else would go in that pack. And all of a sudden, that's what they feel most often. Meaning, if you took the last 300 days of their life and you asked them all the stuff that happened, and you say, how did it make you feel? Most often, they would go back to those same 3 to 5 emotions. And you'd be like, wow, that was such an amazing experience. How did you go back to anger? Oh, because it wasn't what I wanted. That was such a beautiful experience. How did you go back to sadness? Oh, because, it didn't turn out like this, or I feel bad for these other people. Or you got everything you dreamed of. Why do you feel guilty? Because I can't share it with other people. And you look at these people and you're like, wow, look at what their emotional home is. Look at what they keep going back to regardless of what's going on around them. So I'd love for you right now in the comment section, if you're honest, and if you took some notes right now, what I'd love you to do is write down what are the top 3 to 5 emotions that are your emotional home. Meaning, what are the 3 to 5 emotions that you feel most often in your life? So for those of you participating, I appreciate that. Write down in the little comment section, I'd love for you to write down, what are the 3 to 5 emotions you experience most often in your life? Let's see, what do you do when you don't have many people around you who choose to be their best selves? Rebecca, we'll get that in a second. Focus on what's going right. Christine, awesome. Looking around, Smiling to see all the beauty. Very cool. Choosing joy and positivity. What was the name you mentioned? I'm not sure about that. Let's see. Peace, love, and understanding. Very cool. So what are the top 3 to 5 emotions that you feel most often in your life? What is your emotional home? Meaning, if you were to gauge over the last 30 days of your life, what are the most consistent 3 to 5 emotions you experience? Let's see. Live in the now. Excitement, happy, and anger. Very interesting there. So excitement, happy, anger. Happiness, guilt, wealth, sadness, simplicity. Haven't. Let's see. Contentment, peace, sometimes exhaustion from feeling overworked. A bit embarrassing, but honestly, frustration, anger, fear, love, and happiness. Thank you, Carlos, for being honest there. I really appreciate the honesty. And the truth is, I saw that you said a bit embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. People feel all of these things. I mean, if you think no one else feels anger, turn on the frickin' news right now and watch how many people are pissed out of their mind doing crazy stuff out there. If you don't think nobody feels fear, read Facebook and listen to all these people's posts of, the world is ending, oh my God, it's so crazy, what are we going to do? You know? Happiness, excitement, love, peace, joyful, curiosity, need for change, worry, excitement, then fear, peace, creativity, however, get frustrated and jealous also. Corey, thanks for being honest. Genevieve, excitement, love, guilt, fear, overwhelmed. Okay, so here's what's interesting. You're starting to see the pattern, and for those of you who are participating, Rebecca says emotions, positive, tired, not sure, unsure. How does one get over the pain of seeing animal abuse? I can't see great in that, and I can't believe about people sometimes. Interesting, Gina. I'll get to that in a second. Hopeful, content, and optimistic. So here's what's interesting. Gina asked the question, how do someone get over the pain of seeing animal abuse? So what I'm not talking about is getting over an emotion, and I'm not talking about avoiding feeling the emotion. That's why I said you get hooked. So if someone shows me a picture of an animal that's been abused, it'll feel painful. That's normal to go, oh, ouch, that's not good. Now, in that moment, you felt it, you experienced it, you're authentic. Now you got to make a decision that says, am I going to choose to live here and replay the image in my head again and again and again and again and again and keep feeling this pain? And if you want to ask this, I always say, what good does that do in the world? Because now you're feeling pain hour after hour after hour. Did it help the animal? No. Did it help you? No. It actually chemically is tearing down your immune system. It's tearing apart your biochemistry in your body by creating stress, by creating anger, frustration. It's literally going to tear apart your immune system and make you a worse version of yourself. And then when you take a worse version of yourself out to the world, what good can you do to help? Versus if you say, listen, oof, that hurt. Wow, I really feel for that animal. It's a horrible situation. It hooked me. Now, I'm going to choose to feel resilient, to feel strong, to feel driven, to feel passionate, to feel purpose-filled, to feel curious about what I can do to make a difference. I'm going to get passionate about making that difference. I'm going to choose to stand up and go out into the world and focus on doing something to actually make a difference. I posted a little meme on Instagram earlier today, and it said, if you're wondering why I'm not sitting around bitching about what's wrong with my life, it says I'm too busy working to make life the way I want it to be. Now, this is the same concept. So how do you get over it? Is you don't get over it. You experience it. And you realize it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. It hurts. At that moment, you choose not to stay there. And then you choose to pick a more powerful and useful and resourceful emotion to use that to move forward and make progress, to make change, to make a difference, to protect more animals, to raise awareness, to do something about it. But just sitting there feeling hurt for 4 days will not change a thing, and it certainly won't help anyone else, and it won't help you. It'll tear you down. So that's how you get over it. Let's see. Christine says hopeful, content, optimistic. Nick says love, uncertainty, gratefulness. Rain says guilty, like I'm standing there watching atrocities. Gina, yes, I get that. You're so right. Driven to help make a difference. Oh, thank you. I know this. I just need to hear that. Thank you for your words. Got it. Glad to help. Let's see. Farhad, nice to see you. Good morning from Dubai. You are awesome. Thanks for sharing valuable content in January. You're welcome, sir. Jairek, you're the man. Brandon, you're the man. So let's see. So in this concept, number one, you got to make the decision that you're going to choose to take control how you feel regardless of the situation. Number two, you really truly have to believe that it's possible. You have to know that regardless of what happens around me, I'm going to take control of how I feel, and I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to become resourceful. Let's see, we cannot help everyone, but we can help someone. I believe there's more good in the world than bad. Absolutely, I believe the same thing. So this next part, as you're making that decision to do something with it and become resourceful, the question becomes, where's your emotional home? And the next question is, if that's where your current emotional home is, where does it need to be to build the life that you really desire and deserve? So if your current emotional home is what you've written in the previous couple messages here, all these beautiful things and some of the not so great things, my question becomes for you, if that's where it currently is right now, what does your emotional home need to be in order to achieve the hopes, goals, dreams, desires, visions, intentions, and everything it is that you want to accomplish in the world? If that's where it's at right now, what does it need to be for you to actually get to the goals, dreams, and desires you desire and deserve? So I'd love to know your update. What emotions do you need to experience every single day in order to be on track with what you want to accomplish? Now, what's interesting with this concept, as you're going through and writing what your emotional home needs to be to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish, make sure to jot it down in the comment section, regardless of where that is on your screen. So as you're jotting down what your emotional home needs to be, let me give you this little caveat of something to think about. So what's interesting about this is a lot of people believe that they can't control their emotions. But let me just give you an experience so that you can really understand it. Let's see, Rebecca says it needs to be optimistic, certain of that, positive and joyful. Wonderful. Sounds strong. I like that, Rebecca. Thank you for sharing. So what does your emotional home need to be? Meaning, what are the top 3 to 5 emotions that you know you need to stay in or experience daily to be your absolute best self and to really be on track to achieve the goals, dreams, and desires that you're going after? So what does your emotional home need to be in order for you to be there? Let's see, Melissa says confidence, courage, resourcefulness, consistency. Ian says, why live in the past? We're unable to change it, so use what you learn to move forward. Absolutely. Rain says emotions, powerful, faithful, loving, blessed, playful, radiant, lioness. I like that. Rawr. So let me give you an experience. What I'd love you to do is think of a moment in your life that felt really, really, let's say, fun. Just a moment, something that happened, something you experienced, something that literally just filled your belly with laughter. A moment when you literally laughed out loud and you couldn't stop laughing, and it like tears in your eyes, like milk shooting out your nose, snot everywhere. You were just laughing hysterically. It was like, ha, 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 ha. Like, think of a moment like that. And just real quick, when you're thinking of that moment, how does it feel? Now, for most of you, it feels really good. But what's interesting is what changed in your life right now. Like literally right now, this second, when you started to feel good, thinking of that moment that felt so fun, that happy moment, what changed? Did someone walk into the room? Did someone give you something? Nothing really changed except for you're focusing on a moment that felt really good in your life, and all of a sudden it felt good. Now watch this. Think of a moment you felt really loved, a loving moment, a beautiful moment in your life when you connected with someone, when someone connected with you, when someone came to you and offered, just love. And think of a moment when your heart literally felt overflowing with love. You felt so abundant, so full, so just alive and loving, and just so present in that moment. And if you were to think of another moment that just filled your heart with love and joy, and think of another one, and go on a rant here where you might think of like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just as many as you can, as many loving moments as possible. And you think one after the next, after the next, after the next, and you think of all these loving moments, the people, the places, the moments. Just remember their faces and the experience and how it filled your heart, and think of one after the next, after the next. And then real question, here's the crazy part, how do you feel? Now for most people, what's wild is all of a sudden in that moment, you start to feel love. You start to feel warm and fuzzies on the inside. Ian says it releases everything. You feel no stress. What you focus on is what you create emotions, that you create your internal dialogue. Absolutely. And so what's happening in that moment is I'm asking you to think about a past memory of love and joy and fun. And all of a sudden you're feeling love and happy and free and alive. And you're feeling it that fast, just like right there in the moment, you're feeling it. Now, what changed in your life? For most of you, you're still sitting in front of your screen, checking out this video, chatting with me and talking. But all of a sudden, you experience joy, you experience love or abundance or fullness on the inside. Now, here's what's wild. Think of a moment in your life when you felt totally excited. Like, oh man, like you just couldn't wait for what was about to happen. It was just something that was so exciting, whether it was a new opportunity, a new business, a new person you were going to meet, that time when you got to meet the person that was your mentor in life and you couldn't wait. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, 15 years old or 14 years old, I remember standing in the tunnel at the Chicago Bulls Stadium, and Michael Jordan had just come off the court and he got changed and he was coming out to his car, and I was standing right there, and I remember him walking in the room and just the amount of pure excitement that was flowing through my body. It was so exciting. It was such a great feeling. Now, for some of you out there, I don't know what that moment would be for you, but think of that moment. Think of an exciting moment in your life when you were anticipating something amazing about to happen. Now, think of another moment when you thought of something amazing about to happen. Now, what I want you to do is think out into the future. What's something 12 months from now or 6 months from now you're so excited that's going to happen in your future? Now, from there, think 12 months in the future. What's something 12 months, a year from now that you're so excited about? A place you're going to visit, an opportunity you're going to have, a situation that will unfold, a person you're going to meet, a relationship you're going to build, an opportunity that you might create for someone else that you care about. Think of another moment in the future that you're so excited about. Now, instead of a year, go 3 years in the future. Think of something 5 years in the future, 10 years in the future, 20 years in the future. Something you're so excited about experiencing in the world. Now, here's what's wild. How do you feel? Now, for most of you, you start to feel excited. Now, this goes back to the whole theory of all I'm helping you do is change your focus. And by changing your focus right now, I've gotten you to feel happy, excited, love, joy. All these emotions you experience that fast just by choosing what you focus on. So what's really wild is, in this whole concept of, number one, making a decision that regardless of what goes on around me, I'm choosing how I feel. Now, how do you choose how you feel? The very first step is to discover what you're feeling most often. So what's your emotional home? From there, you decide what do you want your emotional home to be. And then from there, you start asking yourself questions that would say, let's say you want your emotional home to be love and passion and curiosity and creativity. You would say, when's a moment in my life that I felt so much love in my life? When's the last time I felt so much love? Now think of a moment now you felt love, in the past when you felt love. Think of a moment in the future you're going to feel love, and allow it to flood through your body, and all of a sudden you start to feel love. Now, if you do this every day for 10 minutes a day, imagine how full of love you would be. Now, from there, think of another moment that made you feel, let's say, creative. Think of a moment in the past when you felt totally creative and how great it was. Think of a moment now when you feel creative. Think of moments in the future when you're going to feel creative, and just feel it in your body, experience it, see it in your mind, speak it aloud, and just, bask in that creativity. And then, wow, you start to feel creative. Do that for 5 minutes each day. And what happens is you start to literally turn all these great emotions in your body again and again and again and again and again and again and again, until pretty soon, if you're willing to do this every single day for 10 minutes a day for 30 days in a row, 30 days from now, your emotional home will start to become, notice I said not one day and all of a sudden it changes everything, not 30 days and all of a sudden it's perfectly changed your emotional home. I said if you're willing to do it for 10 minutes a day for 30 days, it'll start to become your emotional home. You'll start to build the muscle where it'll become normal to consistently be in these emotional states regardless of what's going on around you in the world. So if you want this gift, my challenge to you is to make a decision tonight or today or this morning, depending on where you're tuning in from, to choose to do this emotional flood every single day with the 3 to 5 emotions you want to feel most often, and train them into your nervous system every day so that they become your emotional home. It'll take 30 days to start forming the foundation, 60 days, 90 days, within 100 days of doing it every single day, you will have a new emotional home. So it's a gift you could give to yourself. It's a gift you could give to everyone else around you. I challenge you, I call to you, I ask of you to please take it upon yourself to do this for yourself, to do it for your family, to do it for your community, to do it for the world around you. Because at this moment of history, we need more people who are deciding to take control of how they show up in the world and what they experience each day, and to then share that greatness with everyone else around them and spark more people to do the same. So please be this catalyst group right here, this group of people who've experienced this right here, and choose this moment that from today on you're going to build this into your nervous system, and you're going to become a spark in your community to start engaging people around you to take the same control of their life, so that you can raise the level of all of us showing up in the world and bring more joy, laughter, love, peace, creativity, kindness to the world, because it's what's needed right now. So if you want to know how you can do your part, choose to take control of how you show up, choose to build this into your nervous system, and then choose to ripple it into the community around you. That's my call to action to you, and that's what I hope will happen from this video. Now, if you think this is useful and needed in the world right now, please click the share button and tell people why they should take a moment to tune into this and what they can expect to get out of it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's dinner time here, so I'm going to go grab a bite to eat with my wife. I hope you all have an amazing evening, morning, day, afternoon. Click that share button and let people know what to expect from this. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for another Facebook Live. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Make sure to do that muscle building of emotional flood each day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.